Word today that a judge in Maine had or has rejected an attempt by state health officials in that state to keep nurse Casey Hickox in quarantine. She, of course, has defied the state quarantine for medical workers who have treated Ebola patients. Good for her. The judge ruled that Hickox should continue daily monitoring and coordinate travel with state officials so monitoring can continue. But because she's not showing symptoms, the judge says she's not infectious. Now, this is where we are now. We live in a culture that is so eaten up with fear that everybody has to carry a gun. It's so eaten up with fear. All you have to do is look at these filthy, stinking political ads that are running by both parties, but especially the Republicans. Their entire message is fear. The entire message of religion is fear. The entire message of capitalism is fear. Everything is fear. The enemy. Who's the enemy this week? Anybody know? Is it Khorasan? What happened to them? Wasn't an imminent attack by Khorasan planned? ISIS? Is it ISIL? ISIS? Islamic? The Sandinistas, are they still coming up through Texas? Who else is going to attack us and eat us and devour us? No wonder these zombie movies and zombie TV shows are so popular. There is so much childish fear out and about right now in this country. I'll bet you that half the people, if not more, who will wind up having their votes counted on Tuesday, and that's stretching it, that half those people will be voting out of fear, not out of anything positive, not out of anything constructive, but strictly fear. Fear, fear, fear. Aren't you sick of it? Aren't you sick of it? Ebola? Oh, for Christ's sake. One person died of Ebola in this country, and he contracted it before he came to this country. Everyone else who has been treated in this country has survived. Do you know how many people are going to die in the United States over the next 4 months of flu? 20,000? Fear. Fear, fear. Don't get a vaccination. Why? Because it'll give you autism. What? Yeah. Or worse. I mean, all of it. Every single thing is fear. So here we are. In the middle of Halloween with all the spooks and haints and ghosts. And the Christians have got all the little children so afraid of even going trick-or-treating. No, you can't go trick-or-treating. We'll go trunk-or-treating. What's that? That's where you look in somebody's trunk of their car. Why? Because I don't know why. But if you go trick-or-treating, there'll be Ebola in your apple. Apple? What's an apple? There'll be razor blades in your candy. There'll be poison. Everything is poison. Death, destruction. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Carry a gun. Carry 2 guns. And don't go to Kroger's or Target without an AR-15. You never know what's going to happen. Man. Man. And this whole thing about this nurse, Casey Hickox, these medical personnel, medical people, doctors, nurses, medical technicians, x-ray specialists, hematologists, epidemiologists, pediatricians, whatever they do, that are going to West Africa to attack this virus, they should be celebrated. They should be honored. And the state of New Jersey, state of New York, and now I understand the state of, is it Wisconsin, Iowa, someplace in the Midwest, they're all passing laws that will totally abrogate a person's freedom, freedom of movement, freedom of anything. This is not based on medicine. It's not based on science. It's based on fear generated by this political class in this country that needs to be taken out and just pushed over a cliff somewhere and forgotten about. Fear, 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 fear. Everything fear. Fear everything. The nurse, Casey Hickox, was pushed into the media glare when she came back from treating Ebola patients in Sierra Leone. She got off a plane in New Jersey and became immediately victimized by this mandatory quarantine in that state, thanks to that half-witted jerk, Rich, what's his name? Governor of New Jersey, you know who I mean. Christie, whatever. After being released from a hospital where she threatened to leave, she was being held against her will practically. She went back to Maine, a small town where she was placed under what Maine authorities called a voluntary quarantine. If you want to hear newspeak, if you want to hear Big Brotherisms, how about that one? Voluntary quarantine. What in the hell does that mean? A quarantine is... Why bother? Nurse Hickok said that she was following the federal CDC recommendation of daily monitoring for fever and other signs of the disease. Earlier this week, before the judge ruled, she said, quote, "I'm not willing to stand here and let my civil rights be violated when it's not science-based," end quote. Good for you. Good for you. Fear. State legislatures and governors and these half-witted right-wingers. Oh, well, Ebola. And the medical people keep saying, you know, why not take a look at Casey Hickok's partner, the guy she lives with? Has he gotten it? No, he hasn't. But science in this country has been so mocked by these right-wing pigs for so long, whether it is dietary science, agriculture science, global climate change science, creation of the universe science, planetary movement science, whatever it is. It's been so denigrated and torn to pieces by these right-wing religious and not religious so much, that just the whole right-wing, the whole neo-fascist movement, which includes about every goddamn religion in existence, they all have been pushing non-science, fear. Let's go back to the 7th century. Let's go back to the time when a plague was caused by evil spirits because you didn't pray enough. And then the Pope comes out and says, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later tonight, but he talks about, he gave his blessing to a convocation of exorcists meeting in Rome. Yes, he did. This is the same guy, the same Pope, who I quoted the other day as having said that the theory of evolution certainly should be accepted as the way human beings, well, evolved. And that the Big Bang theory, the creation of the universe, should be accepted as the way things were, well, created. And now he comes out, I think Wednesday. I'll have the whole story for you later. He comes out and says that this meeting of 300 exorcists meeting in Rome, the eternal city. I mean, what do you do at a convention of exorcists? Do you cast demons out of each other? Do you make grunting noises? Do you spew pea soup all around the room? What do? Does your head spin? Or do you sit there and try to pretend like you are very rational and sciencey and talk about, yes, well, I think that the proper way to approach the demon depends to a great extent on the age of the possessed. Now, obviously, if it's a child, a different kind of approach has to be used, maybe with trinkets and little doodads to get the child's attention over here so that you, the exorcist, can address the demon. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And the gun nuts, The NRA reminds gun-loving voters to be afraid of everything, including ISIS and Mexicans and Obama and each other and liberals and dark people and pure white people and people with wings and people with horns on their head and people with tails. You know, the NRA will tell you, be afraid of everything. Keep yourself armed. Carry guns. Carry machine guns. Carry machetes. Carry hand grenades, because you never know. We'll be right back.